Hey everybody, I wanted to share my experience with creating Heroin at Addicts because it honestly seemed like my driving force for my reason for participating here in this world was to create heroin addicts. It validated the shit out of me. I loved to do this because I loved escaping myself. I loved getting high so I wasn't forced into what's actually here in this world. And I guess to start things off, early in my life, I created a huge correlation between smoking weed and getting high being that of the pursuit of happiness to not living like my parents, not working the 9 to 5 job of doing that and then coming home to cook dinner for your kids and then watch TV, watch your stupid television shows, and then just go to bed to repeat the same thing over and over again just to live for the weekends. So I was scared shitless of this, and so I started smoking weed because I saw it as a way out that I could just go on with the pursuit of happiness. I could live my life, my standard of what I'm going to accept as my integrity for myself being here was to laugh myself away, for real. It was to think that, oh, if I get high enough, I could one day transcend into an Asian farmer 500 years ago that lives off the land and just gets to learn from the gurus and the master, just completely fulfilling one's life with all the knowledge, information in this world there is to offer. And thus, I did this so I wasn't aware that I need to actually not be afraid of what my parents are doing, but to put myself one and equal with the cause of the world system being that of one that creates these sort of wage slavery positions for the people that are lucky, for the people that are in America and other developed countries that can actually get a job to make some money to actually live. I need to put myself one and equal to that to actually change that and make it available for all, to where we don't need to escape any of this. We wouldn't need to get high and be afraid of all of that. But so I used getting high to be afraid of that. And within this, I was always indoctrinated with, oh, drugs are so bad, you can't be doing this. You're going to be jumping off of a bridge if you smoke weed. And so I experienced something a little bit different from what I was told, within it being that of a complete self-destroyer, but I sought for validation between the people and my friends. I was practically the first one in my age group and my school group to start smoking weed, and I pretty much went around with the air to everybody that you're either smoking weed with me, you're either laughing your life away with me, or you're creating the same life as our parents. You are part of the problem. And thus, I created a whole group centered around this point, and within all of this, we never realized the true reason, the deeper fixation, addiction to energy past what we were doing as drugs. We didn't realize that we were smoking weed to escape something. And so it wasn't just about smoking weed whatsoever. We didn't just smoke weed. We used any sort of point, any sort of avenue we could to get ourselves away from being forced into a position of actually changing the world system through changing ourselves. And so I and so many people went on to abusing porn, using porn so often to just get high, to just put oneself in accordance to the standard of what one should do to be happy, to live a fulfilled life. Some of us went on to abusing others, making others feel like shit through just random attacks to make them feel inferior, to give us a sort of egoistic definition as to we are superior. And some of my friends went on to doing heroin, and that is a huge problem if you look into the world, and I wasn't actually willing to face my acceptances and allowances of what I have been doing until it was brought close to home. My brother used heroin for 2 years, 3 years ago, and within his use of heroin, his addiction was sentenced to a prison sentence of a year for the crimes that had to be committed, which were the printing of fake money to trade off at stores to get real money back, and to use the fake money to buy other drugs, and breaking into houses to steal from people to get money to buy drugs. And within this, he went to jail for a year, and since he's got back, he obviously didn't stay sober, as there's a 90% chance that one's going to relapse once they get sober. And so my brother sort of attempted to stay sober, but wasn't actually able to get the support necessary through lack of money and lack of an actual system of humans as support, and thus continued to use heroin and now uses meth. And it's really shitty that anybody should be forced into this sort of position, this sort of family position, because this has turned my family completely upside down. Everything that ought to be what the family structure is, being that of support, that of helping each other unconditionally to live in this world as equals, as what's best for all life, and for ourselves. And thus, just, I think sometimes, when is my brother going to die? It could be any night. It's going to be soon. My brother's on death row at any time. He goes to jail on and off. I'm pretty sure he's about to go back to prison, as he just has been going to jail like every month. It's just really shitty, the whole structure of doing drugs, the illegality of it, and the sort of profit behind it, the sort of necessary reasoning behind it, just what that implies, not getting your profit, makes it hugely dangerous. And the drugs itself just will kill somebody. And it's even shittier for my mom, because she feels like she's more directly responsible for the position that my brother is at. And while she did play a role in it, people still do participate in what they are given. They either directly or indirectly take what is presented in the externality of the world and create a personality from that. And within all of this, I realized that, wow, we need to take that point back to ourselves. We need to realize that, okay, some people take their lives around creating a life what's presented to them. And so it's hugely important for me to not smoke weed anymore, not stand as that example of wanting to escape this world, because it stands as the example as it's all right to do for anybody. Because if it wasn't all right for somebody to do, then it wouldn't be all right for me to do, and thus I would be forced to change myself. And thus not doing so is just allowing them to live off of my example. I'm saying that this is okay for you to do, within full, just not wanting to be aware of, not wanting to be responsible for not everybody being able to take addiction the same way. Not everybody can handle what's presented to them in the same way. People go on to using heroin, and people go on to raping people from being subjected to porn their whole life. People go on to just abusing the shit out of everything because there's no support as to an example as to living with integrity. And so at Destiny, we're taking these points back into ourselves, realizing that within myself, within what I can actually change, what I have power for, I can set the example as, you can do this too. And thus, we can use the equality equation of one by one changing ourselves into a world of integrity by all of us supporting each other to be that of integrity, by saying, this is what I'm going to accept and allow as my reason for being, and that's not going to be that of accepting and allowing escape from what's actually here, but actually getting to a point of recognizing what's here, recognizing within, realizing we can take authority by just realizing, we take authority by realizing, and thus commit ourselves to actually changing what's necessary to be changed to create that world which is what's best for all. And so we take these points back into ourselves and stand as that integrity to allow people to also stand as integrity, so the world will compound into that of a place of support. And this incongruence with what the Equal Life Party is presenting with the living income guaranteed will alleviate everybody to be able to actually understand what's going on by giving everybody actual income to get the things required to live, and thus not be in a position to escape what we don't want in terms of living like our parents and the 9-to-5 jobs, and to escape what's here by getting high. We won't have that because we won't have people that need to sell drugs to support their living to people. We won't have people selling drugs so people get addicted and have to come back every single day. Within the living income guaranteed, we can all get to a point of actually recognizing what's going on and then realizing how we can take this and move from there within the domain of what's best for all, within being that person of integrity. So investigate what we are doing at the Equal Life Party within taking these points back into ourselves through honest self-writing as to how we've participated within these points, how we've allowed it as ourselves, and within this can take the authoritative stance to change ourselves and thus walk the process necessary to change the world. Thanks for listening.